guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Amanda, and this is going to be my October and November wrap-up. So I have a lot of books to talk to you guys about. I read 9 books in the month of October, and I read 7 books in the month of November. So let's just jump right into that, shall we? It's been a while since I've read these, so just bear with me. It may not be the most comprehensive wrap-up, but I read some really great things in the last 2 months, so I wanted to talk to you guys about them, and I figured I could just stick them all together. So the first thing I read in October is Cinderella is Dead. This is by Kaylin Barron. I ended up giving this one 3.5 out of 5 stars. I did enjoy it. I enjoyed like the first half of the book. I didn't really enjoy the second half of the book. It has some great themes in here. The conversation is great in here. The characters are great. I just didn't like some of the decisions that were made. I felt like there's some flaws in the plot that didn't really make logical sense to me. And the big reveal thing, it was extremely predictable, I will tell you that. Even though it was predictable from page 1, I still was really enjoying it, but by the end of it, I felt like it was just too much, you know. I liked it. It was a good story. I wanted more, though. Does that make sense? But yeah, I really liked it. I probably will read another book by her. I think this is her debut novel, so I probably will pick up the next book that she writes just to see what I think about it, because like I said, it was quick and easy and enjoyable. I needed a little bit more, and I didn't like the plot holes. It took away from the story for me, unfortunately. Then I picked up The Stitchers. This is by Lorian Lawrence. This is a middle grade horror novel. I give this one 4 out of 5 stars. Super, super good. I really liked it. It's about these 2 13-year-old, they're neighbors, a boy and a girl named Quinn. I don't remember what the boy's name is. But Quinn's dad, he has died. So you start off the story and she has just lost her dad. And her dad was investigating the neighbors. He felt like their neighbors in their neighborhood were really weird. They're all older, and they'll be sick, and then they look really young, or they're very fit, or there's these weird things happening. And so Quinn decides with her neighbor, I can't remember his name, that they're gonna continue to investigate what is happening with these neighbors of theirs. They call them the goodies, I think, or what do they call them? The oldies, I think. Yeah, they call them the oldies, and they just go off on this little adventure trying to figure out what is going on with them. I liked it. I felt like there was some really good grotesque moments in here, especially for middle grade. I feel like if I give this to my 10-year-old niece, she would think it was gross and kind of spooky, and so I think the author did a really great job. This is the first in the series, I believe, so I will definitely continue on with it. So the next thing I read was an ARC provided to me by Wednesday Books and St. Martin's Press, so thank you guys for that. It's called The Golden Fury by Samantha Coho. I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. Highly enjoyed it. So this is about a girl named Thea, whose mother is this famous alchemist, and Thea herself is trying to learn alchemy from her mother when something horrible happens, and Thea is kind of thrown out. Her mom sends her off to live with her father, who she's never met, doesn't even know she exists, and Thea is trying to create the Philosopher's Stone, which is something that all alchemists strive to create, and she gets into some shenanigans, some things happen. I thought it was great. I felt like the female characters were very strong and kind of badass. I got really sucked into the story. I really, really enjoyed it. I do have a full review for this up on Goodreads. I'll link it down below if you guys want to go check it out. But I highly recommend it if you like YA fantasy, if you like badass female characters, and if you like adventure, because it was quite a wild ride. After that, I picked up The Only Good Indians. This is by Stephen Graham Jones. This is the first Stephen Graham Jones book that I read. I read this as a buddy read with my friend Ashley from No Degree in Reading, and James. James doesn't make videos anymore, I don't think, but yeah, I read it with them. I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars. I loved it. It was so good. I flew through it. I definitely want to pick up more of his works. I'm really interested in Mongrels. He has another a novella that just came out this year that I'm really interested in, with a mannequin, something about mannequins. It was good. It was terrifying. It's about it's hard to explain what it's about, but it's about these 4 friends who 10 years ago, they went hunting on sacred land. Some things happened, and then they just moved on with their life. And now this whatever this thing was is haunting them, and these things start happening. So they're trying to handle that, I guess. I don't know how else to say that, but it's very, very good. I really liked it. I know people are saying that it's not horror or it's not scary, but I felt like it was scary. There were some parts, like there's this one specific scene, like towards the end of the book, that drug on for a very long time, and I felt like it could have been cut in half. But I just was immersed in the story from start to finish. I really, really liked it. Stephen Graham Jones knows exactly what he's doing, and I highly, highly recommend it. The next thing I picked up is Serpent Dove. This is by Shelby Mahurin. So this is book 1 in a series. The second book just came out this year. This follows a witch and a witch hunter. And through circumstances, they end up married to one another, but he doesn't know that she's a witch. And it was so good. I gave it 4.25 stars. So good. I really liked it. I didn't think I would, because I feel like, you know, either love or hate this, and I'm in the love crowd. After that, I picked up Torrid by Katrina Leno. This is about a girl named Jane whose father dies unexpectedly, and her mother have to drive across the country from California to the New England states, I don't remember which one, Maryland maybe, to live in her deceased grandmother's, like, estate, okay? And they get there, and there's like some spooky things going on, and Jane's trying to like find her way in this small town. She comes from California. It's very different. It's cold. The house is haunted, or so it seems that way, and so it's just, you know, you're just, the whole novel you're trying to figure out what the hell is actually happening. In the beginning, I really liked the relationship between Ruth and Jane. Ruth is her mother. And then, like in the middle to the end, I felt like her mom was just being weird about things, and I didn't really care for her. And also, I felt like the book just like ends, and it was very unsatisfying. Like, what? That's it? That's it. There's no, I have to decide what happens from here. Okay. And I don't think I like that in books. At least I didn't like it in this one. So I gave this one 3.75 stars. I really enjoyed the first half, and then by the second half I just kind of lost interest a little bit. I've heard since that Katrina Leno's books always kind of end that way, which means I probably won't pick up another book by her, unfortunately, but I'm glad I read this one. And then I picked up The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. I've been meaning to read this for a very long time. I actually read it for the Goth Lit book club for October, and then I missed the live show. Wah wah. I didn't love this. It was very atmospheric, I'll give it that. I didn't love it though. I gave it 3 stars. I felt like it was just okay. I'm glad I read it, because I feel like this is like the OG haunted house story. And you guys, I love haunted house stories, so if you have any, wreck them down below, because I will read all of them. I love ghost stories. I love haunted house stories. Those are my jam. But yeah, I just really didn't like it. I wanted to love it so much, but I didn't. The characters were just grating to me. The ending, I was just like, oh, what the hell? I felt like there wasn't enough, you know? Like, it was atmospheric, but I wanted more, like, scare, you know? That's what I wanted. I didn't get enough of that, so. And also, like, these scary things would happen, and the characters were just like, it's okay. Like, what? If you guys don't know what this is about a, I guess, ghost hunter. I don't know what his title is. I forgot. But he, like, is seeking people to go and stay in this haunted house with him, essentially. And then they're going to record what happens. He's going to record everything. So that's what it is. These group of people show up at this house. They have nothing to lose. They're all kind of down and out in their own respective ways. And, yeah, these crazy things happen. And don't get me wrong, like, if I was, number one, I wouldn't stay in a haunted house. I love reading about them and watching movies on them and, like, whatever, but I would never stay at one. Like, no, that's just not coming home with me. But, I don't know. I don't know. It was lacking a little bit. You know, it's short, so I don't know. I just didn't love it. I didn't love it. So I'm sad I missed the live show, because I wanted to know what people loved or hated about it. I didn't get to see that. I might have to go back and, like, rewatch. And then the final book that I read in the month of October was One by One by Ruth Ware. This one I gave 3.5 stars. So I've read all of Ruth Ware's books. This is one of my least favorite. I guessed I predicted what was happening, like from jump. I knew exactly what was happening, and I kept questioning myself because it was blatantly obvious that that's what was happening, but no, that's what was happening. So yeah, I don't know, and I didn't really connect with any of the characters. Didn't really like any of them that much. Yeah, so I mean, it was okay. I mean, I love Ruth Ware, so I'm going to read everything that she writes. But out of her books, The Death of Mrs. Westaway is still my absolute favorite Ruth Ware book. And, I mean, this is about a group of people that work for this tech company that rent a ski chalet in France. They're loaded, okay? And they rent this ski chalet to go on this retreat, and this huge avalanche comes and like barricades them in, and people start coming up dead. So they're like all looking at each other, pointing fingers, that kind of thing. I've heard it's like One by One, or what's it called? And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie, but I have not read that, so I don't know how close, or you know, how you could compare the two. I'm not sure, but so it makes me wonder if I read And Then There Were None, if I would like it better than this. Because I mean, it has all of the elements in a novel that I would like. I mean, they're snowed in, people are dying, they're all like blaming each other, you don't know what's going on, but unfortunately, like, I did know. And I think that's what took away from the story for me. Like, I wanted more of the like survival skills. Like, I wanted them to have to try to survive a little bit more than they were, and that did happen. It did happen eventually, but I just felt like it happened too late, maybe. So yeah, 3.5 out of 5 stars. Not a bad rating, not a bad book, just predictable. Okay, so those are all the things I read in October. Let's talk about what I read in November. The first book I read in November is The Tourist Attraction. This is by Sarah Morgenthaler. This is like a cheesy rom-com. It was so good. It was really good. So there's this girl named Zoe whose like best friend is like a heiress. She's like very rich, and so she goes to this small Alaskan town every year. You know, they like stay in this grand hotel, this resort, and Zoe has always dreamed of going to Alaska, and so she saves up all this money and she goes on this trip finally with her friend. And when she gets there, she meets this guy named Graham, who is a local, and he owns a restaurant called The Tourist Trap, and he's broody, and he kind of gives me Luke vibes from Gilmore Girls, like a little bit, and I really loved that. And obviously, like, things happen. Like I said, it's a rom-com, there's love, and there's a dog that he rescued that he absolutely adores, and it's really cute. It's a little cheesy, okay? It is pretty cheesy. There's a moose that Graham like really loves, and so I don't know, it's just super cute, and I really loved it. And I'm actually going to read the second book, which is called Mistletoe and Mr. Right, in December. So I really liked that. Usually I either love or hate books like that, but I really liked that one. I don't know if it's because there was a dog and a moose, and like he was like broody but then like soft-hearted. I don't know, it was good. The next thing I picked up is The Night Swim. This is by Megan Golden. I will tell you trigger warnings for rape, for sexual assault, for victim blaming. This is a courtroom drama. So the victim is on the stand and she's being badgered by the defense attorney. So if that's something that's triggering for you, please look out for that. I didn't like it. I felt like I was bored. So this it's about a woman named Rachel who has this podcast where she talks about like court cases. I think she's even like exonerated someone. Maybe I'm making that up, I don't remember. But on her newest season, she decides to travel to this coastal town in North Carolina to cover this like high profile case as it's happening. And so you're getting like her being there investigating this case and trying to figure out if the guy is guilty or not. And then also like her podcast episodes are chapters too, and they were god awful boring. Like, I felt like they were just streams of consciousness of things that we already knew as the reader because we were there with her when these were happening, and I just don't feel like they were necessary. You know, loved the topic, and I loved how it talked about you know, rape culture. I think that that's extremely important, and like seeing that written on paper, like, yes, that is exactly how it is, you know, as a sexual assault victim myself, you know, it was nice to see it portrayed that way, because I feel like people just don't know these things, or I guess not that they don't know it, they just don't believe it, and you see that a lot. You see both sides of the coin there. And I think the other reason why I didn't like it, like, I knew what the subject matter was, I didn't think it was going to bother me, but I will tell you that as someone that's had to sit on the stand while a different defense attorney says god-awful things about you in front of your family, that was hard for me. Very, very hard for me. I've been through it. I know what that's like. And, you know, so that sucked. But for the most part, I was bored. You know, and yeah, I was bored. Maybe I disassociated, I don't know. But I don't think I'm going to pick up another Megan Golden book. I just feel like these are just not my type of thrillers. I didn't really jive with the writing style. I give this one 3 stars. The next thing I picked up is The Likeness by Tana French. This is book 2 in the Dublin Murder Squad series. I read In the Woods a few years ago. I really, really liked that book, so I decided it was time to pick up the second book in the series. I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. Because by the end of it, I was hooked. And I'm excited to dive into the next Dublin Murder Squad series. But thinking about it now, I think that's what happened with In the Woods. Like, I liked it, but I was kind of bored. And then by the end of it, I was hooked. So I feel like these books go like up and down for me. And this one was no different. So this follows Cassie, who is well, she works on the domestic violence unit now, but she used to work as an undercover cop. She was working, they were trying to do like a drug bust or something. She was a college student working as an undercover cop. And then one day she gets a call from her colleague who says, you need to get down here, like, you know, this girl's been murdered. And when she gets there, the girl that's been murdered has the same name as the person that she was when she was undercover. And so, like, that kind of throws her a little bit. And then they decide, hey, we need to find out what happened to this girl. She lives with 4 other flatmates. Like, why don't you go undercover again, because you look just like her, and which is just off the rails crazy. You look just like her, and let's, like, figure out what happened. Cassie has this weird obsession with this girl that she's never met just because they share this common name. So it's just weird to me. The roommates, I don't know, their whole like vibe, there was a lot in here. I thought we were gonna follow her as she went undercover, like in this drug sting, and that like was really intriguing to me. And then we're following her as she goes undercover as someone else, and to me that's just not plausible. Like, I don't care how much you look like someone, like, they're gonna know it's not you. There's no way that you're gonna know the quirks of that person. You've never even met them, right? It's a little off the wall for me. So by the end of it though, I really liked it. It did catch my attention again, but I will say, like, I had to slide through a lot of pages before I was interested. So, you know, it will probably be a couple more years before I get to the next book, just because I know now that that's probably what's going to happen. I'm going to like it, be bored, and then like it again. So I'm just not ready to do that. The next book I picked up is I Believe in a Thing Called Love by Maureen Gu. I give this one 4 stars. I adored this book. It definitely gave me To All the Boys I Loved Before vibes. This is about a girl named Desi who is Korean, and it's just her and her dad. Her mom passed away. Her dad loves K-dramas, and she, like Desi, she's like an overachiever in school. She's an athlete. She's all of these things, but she does not know how to act around boys. This is YA. And this new boy moves to town, and she like really likes him, but she doesn't know how to be around him. And she sits down and decides to watch this K-drama with her dad. And then she gets this bright idea that she's like, oh, all K-dramas are like this, and then they get the guy every time, so I'm gonna do this to get the guy, right? So she's like going through all of these steps to get him, and it's just super cute. I really, really liked it. I gave it 4 stars because there was just some things that happened that, you know, were kind of annoying, but I get that they're young, they're gonna make stupid decisions, right? But yeah, definitely liked it a lot, and I now want to read everything that she writes because it was just quick and easy and cute and just everything I needed in that moment, especially after reading the likeness. Like, I needed something cute and fluffy, and this was definitely it. If you liked To All the Boys I Loved Before, pick this one up. I feel like Desi is a more mature version of Laura Jean. And then I picked up A Lot's Away. This is by Darcy Little Badger. This is, I think, middle grade or YA fantasy. I think it kind of falls in between there a little bit. It follows a girl named A Lot's Away, and it's urban fantasy as well. She has the ability to bring back ghosts of animals, not humans. Well, I mean, I guess she could do that, but that's just not something that they do. But she can bring back ghosts. Like, her dog, for instance, is her ghost companion. She can call him whenever she wants, and he's there to protect her. And you know, people can see him and pet him, and you know, that's normal. There are also vampires, there are fairies, there's all these like magical creatures in this world. So in the very beginning of the story, A Lot's Away's cousin he dies. And so herself, her mother, and her father, I believe, traveled to this small town called Willoughby in Texas to try to find out what happened. Like, A Lot's Away does not think that he just died. She thinks something happened to him. And so they travel to be with his wife and infant son and try to figure out what's going on. When they get to Willoughby, she realizes that there's something definitely going on. Like, things are just weird. There's this guy who is like the surgeon or the doctor of the town, and she feels like he is responsible for her cousin's death in some way, and so she's trying to figure that out. I loved it. I loved the storytelling. So A Lot's Away tells a lot of stories about her 6th great grandmother, who was this badass woman who could also summon the dead. She actually traveled to the underworld, and unfortunately she did not come back. So, you know, so the storytelling is just so rich. The culture in this novel is really, really good. And I just overall just really, really liked it. I thought it was good. I felt like it was fast paced. I flew through it, really. I read it really quickly. It did read, like I said, a little bit more of a middle grade than a YA for some reason, but I still very much enjoyed it. And I gave it 4 stars. And then the very last thing that I picked up in the month of November is The Ballad of Black Tom. This is by Victor Laval. I read this for the Goth Lit Book Club in November, and I think I gave this one 4 stars. Yes, I gave this one 4 stars. This is just a novella, super short, super quick to get through. It follows a black man called Tommy Tester. I think it's like in the 20s or 30s and when it's set in New York. He is a musician, but not a very good one. And he has figured out a way to make money quickly. And so along his travels, he meets a white man, who says, you know, he was playing in a bar, I think. This white man walks up to him and says, hey, I have this mansion, I'm having this party, I want you to come play, and I'm going to give you $500. And so $500 to him is enough for like a year. It's like a year's living wages for him and his father. So, when he gets to the mansion, some things are not as they seem, and some things happen. I don't really want to go into it too much because, like I said, it's a novella. It's really short. There's a lot of social commentary that fits the time period, but also fits 2020. And what I can tell you is it's about a black man taking back his power. And it was good. Like, this little tiny book was really good, and like I said, 4 out of 5 stars. I didn't give it 5 stars because it's only 150 pages. It's a novella, so it's hard. I mean, novellas are hard to rate. Like, how do you rate them? It's not a full-length novel, but it's definitely deserving of 5 stars, and I really like it. If you like horror, like, you're gonna like this one, because there's some scenes in here like, whoo, make my skin crawl. But I really enjoyed that one, and I wouldn't have picked it up otherwise. I wouldn't have picked this up without the Goth Lit Club. I didn't even know it was a novel that existed, so I'm really glad that I did, because it packed a punch. This 150 page book like packed a powerful punch. Really, really liked it. So those are all the things that I read in the month of October and November. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow me on Goodreads, Twitter, and Instagram. And I'll talk to y'all later.